Welcome to the worst idea of all time
podcast.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of the worst idea in the world podcast. My name is Tim Batt.
That's the worst idea of all time.
Hello and welcome to the worst idea of all time podcast episode 3 with me, Tim Batt.
And me, Guy Montgomery. And we couldn't get the cast of Grown Ups 2 in the studio today, but that's okay.
We watched it instead. We watched them do the movie
right.
again. For those of you who have just joined us, and I'm not sure why you would on episode 3, this is a podcast in which myself and
let me
Guy
correct you, I'm not sure why you would.
watch Grown Ups every week and then do a brief podcast review,
Discussion,
of the film.
Debrief.
Guy?
And,
how do you feel about the movie now?
It's great to be here. Obviously, it's great to be here. Week 3. I feel. I
am starting to not now, which is a weird feeling.
Well, I think before we start this week's podcast, we should at least talk about the awards ceremony that went on in the weekend.
Absolutely. Today is Oscars Day. Yesterday was the Razzies, which, if you're not familiar with the Razzies, they are the Raspberries Awards. They're the anti-Oscars, if you will. So they celebrate the worst films and worst aspects in film that has come out in the last 12 months. Grown Ups 2 was nominated for a staggering 8 awards, which is quite a lot.
Right, and it's absolutely devastating to report it didn't take out a single one.
Not one, which means it's too shit to even win shit awards.
It would have lent a certain amount of gravitas to the podcast if we said, in which we watch and review weekly, eight Razzie winning film Grown Ups 2.
Yeah.
But instead,
do you want to hear what it was nominated for?
Yes.
Worst picture, worst actor, worst supporting actor, worst director, worst on-screen combo. That's all I wrote down, but there are some others, obviously, because that's not 8.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were up against some stiff competition. Will Smith and his son.
Yes.
I think in a Razzie first.
Yeah, they've taken out both worst actor for Jaden Smith and worst supporting actor for his father, Will, for After Earth, which I haven't seen.
No.
But that's Scientology.
But that's another podcast.
Altogether.
So, yeah, obviously Oscars today, which I didn't think it would impact the way I came into it. By the way, just for reference, everyone, it's 11 o'clock on a Monday morning.
This is how we started the week.
We started
today.
the week watching Grown Ups 2 at 9. And it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to watch any movie at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning.
It is. I'm trying to think of some way to relate it to an experience you might have had, because it's. So some people get up quite early on a Monday morning and they'll go to what's that intense fitness regime everyone's doing these days?
Ludus Magnus?
Boot camp.
Boot camp. Yeah, that's what I said too.
So it's kind of like mental boot camp, but the opposite. It'd be like shoving.
You can tell by the. You can tell.
face.
I'll tell you how you can tell. It's not a great way to start the week. Is listen to Tim Batt's analogy. That is evidence of a man whose brain isn't functioning at full capacity. Anyway,
Yeah, this is the weird thing now. The movie's starting to have an effect on me where it's numbing.
What I was
me.
saying was I found it slightly...
I can't feel.
I found it affecting that we're watching it on Oscars Day, and it's sort of just hammered home, you know, there are other movies out there.
Yeah.
There are other options, good options.
Definitely.
And this is our lot. This is what we've lumped ourselves in with.
2 hours every week we're watching this film.
It's only 101 minutes, but it feels like...
That doesn't seem like it could be true. Fuck. Okay. I actually came up with a theory for this movie while I was watching it today. I really think that this is possible as well. I think that Grown Ups 2 might have been made as a tax dodge.
Okay.
I think it's like a shell project that wasn't ever supposed to make any money or anything. And
like the producers.
Yeah, exactly. The premise of the producers, not the film itself, which is wonderful.
So what can you explain that for people like me?
So I haven't quite figured out all the nuts and bolts of it, but there were just a few clues. Firstly, that this film is fucking awful. And so A tax dodge is when you set something up like a company or a project for the sole purposes of using it in accounting. It doesn't actually do the function it's parading around to do. So this film was parading around to be a kind of almost family comedy, but there are some real tip-offs in that it's not. Number one, very early on in the film when we first meet Nick, who is the drug-addled bus driver, he announces that his relationship was just broken up. His marriage has ended after 3 weeks because his new bride found him anally inserting a banana.
He doesn't say that though. He says it's a great gag. He says she found me eating a banana
with my butt.
Which, I'm sorry, man. I got
So
no
Kmart's very pervasive involvement in this film also really raised a few qualms with me.
Yeah.
I think it is mentioned no less than 3 times at very different times in the film. They spend half the day in a Kmart. I think it might have been a Kmart kind of tax product, this movie. Also, the fact that there is approximately 300 people in the film.
Yeah.
It was a tip-off for me. So I think maybe everyone's at the trough here using this to write off a whole lot of income so they can lower their taxes.
And now people, when we look back on this film, years from now, when I'd like to think we might have stopped watching it, and it's being investigated, we'll be able to say we were there.
Let's abandon what I'm talking about because you've struck on something. Imagine if we are watching this in years to come. Imagine if we're still doing this on a Monday morning.
This would be, but I'd like to think by then this is all we do. Imagine if we were living off of this. This is one thing I was thinking about is, what say this turned into, somehow we sold ad space on this podcast. Now, would you list, no, I know, but, just indulge me.
Okay.
Would you describe your job, which would be podcasting, specifically watching Grown Ups 2 and reviewing it once a week, A, the greatest, cushiest job in the world, or B, the worst job?
That's a really good question. It is one of those jobs where I really think it would be you have to watch one movie for 2 hours a week? What a cinch. It's got David Spade and Kevin James and Adam Sandler in it. That sounds amazing. You live off that? And we'd be like, no, you don't get this. You don't understand what this is like.
So you think
you don't feel our pain.
You think it would be one of the worst jobs you could have?
I really do, man.
So that means that right now what we're doing for free, for nothing, is... You
really painted me into a corner there. You're right. Yeah.
The clue's in the title, though. I don't know why I'm obsessing over this. You also stumbled into another theory during the movie, Tim, which we can discuss, if I can remember it.
I think it was something that you sparked that this movie kind of encapsulates everything that's wrong with America, the country, culturally at the moment. So this film, Grown Ups 2, is actually sort of the set piece in terms of cultural products that you can turn to and go, this is what it's all about. This is what's gone wrong. This is what's wrong with the country.
It's basic things like parental negligence, the encouragement of settling your problems with violence.
Racial segregation. There is, man. I know that they pay a bit of lip service to trying to throw some interracial couples in the mix, but there's very set couples and stuff. The whites are with the whites, the blacks are with the blacks.
That's smaller stuff, though. There's also the idea that masculinity is defined by violence. The whole movie.
That's a very big theme in this as well.
That is about, largely is about, I'm going to get thematic here, so bear with me for a second.
It's about my thematic hat
It's about sticking up for yourself. And as a man, so Adam Sandler, obviously it's an ensemble cast, but he is essentially our protagonist. And he is obsessed with sticking up for himself, with sort of, I guess, winning back some lost pride that he had in school because he used to get bullied and he never fought back. So the big climactic sort of, I guess what's meant to be heartwarming moment is when he stands up to that bully from high school and he's doing it in front of his son as if to say, I need my son to see this is how you handle your problems.
The bully, of course, played by
Stone Cold Steve Austin. And so he's setting an example in front of the whole city at a party he's hosting, that this is how you deal with your problems. You stand up like a man and you physically have a fight. You
fight with your fists. That's the only way. That's the only way to be a man.
And then before you know it, the whole town's fighting the fraternity. And it is, I think, Yeah, no, there's definitely. I mean, the tax theories is more sort of conspiracy based. You know, it might come through, but I do think there's a kernel.
They're not mutually exclusive.
A nugget
though.
Of truth in this.
They're not mutually exclusive. Grown Ups 2 could be A, a tax dodge, and also B, just a symbol that has been produced accidentally out of that process as showing everything that's wrong with American cultural values in 2014.
Yeah, these are definitely.
Because also, like last week, we touched on the fact that no one does their jobs. They're living in some sort of weird like entitlement system where they go, I'm just entitled to get my paycheck irrespective of how much work I get done each week. It
is actually interesting to me that we're breaking into the movie this much. It's not a movie that's designed to be watched 3 times, let alone...
It doesn't stand up to one viewing, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, listen to how these are coping mechanisms we're developing now to get through the movie, is you have to think about new angles or reasons it exists or why it is the way it is.
To justify your own...
This is after a meager 303 minutes of watching Grown Ups 2.
Let's drag ourselves out of the darkness and put ourselves into the light in a segment that I've just thought of this second, which is called The Worst Idea of All Time Podcast Shining Light. I will kick off if you would like, Guy, but this is a bit where I would like each of us to pick a bit of the movie that we like and talk about.
Okay.
There is a very short bit of the film that I like a lot where... our gentlemen are at the quarry, and the fraternity is at the quarry as well, led by
Taylor Lautner from Twilight.
And David Spade's son is in the water. So
this is a good bit, actually.
Adam Sandler's 2 sons. Oh no, wait, one's there's 2 of the kids.
Chris Rock's kid and Adam Sandler's kid are hanging out at the quarry,
and they get kind of run into by this very attractive bikini-clad chick who's at the college, who's drunk, and gives them 2 beers, and they're like, "Oh, we can't drink beers, we're too young," which is weird because they're 17. So I guess legally,
this is America.
Yeah, another cultural value, which is part of why they're so terrible. They can't drink
because 17-year-olds don't drink beer.
Exactly, you heard me. So they have to dispose of the beers in a way where it looks like they're drinking them. So what they do is they just take the caps off and then turn their backs to the frat, and like it looks like they're pissing them out. They just tip them out. I don't like any of that. This is the bit I like.
I was going to say, where is the shining light?
It goes to a shot of David Spade's son, who is in the quarry, which is filled with water, on a lilo, lying there.
Wearing sunglasses.
So relaxed. The camera slow pans to him. He just puts his thumb in the air and goes, "Summertime."
that is certainly a shining light moment.
I want to...
I'm in a good mood. Just from you describing that horrible scene, I'm in a better mood.
But just that one shot, that one bit. Summertime.
Right down the barrel.
Yeah, man.
Right down the barrel of the camera.
David Spade's son approves.
Hey, that's good. I like this segment. My shining light moment today, and it's something I meant to talk about last week but forgot, was the gym teacher. It was a very brief cameo by a gym teacher in a gym. And he throws a ball at a kid, and the kid, like, he goes...
Bumpty.
He goes,
no,
Bumpty.
Okay, Bumpty. We know the names.
Yeah, we're learning them. He throws a ball at this kid, Bumpty, who's a bit gooberish, and he goes, "Can you think fast?" And he falls over. The ball hits him, and he falls off to the seat. And then the gym teacher goes, "Who wants to watch me climb a rope?" And just walks up to a rope in these tiny short shorts and starts climbing. And the delivery is bang on for mine.
It's right up there with what's his name?
John Lovitz.
Thank you. Hey, you got the name right this time. Progress,
mate. I spent the whole week reciting it in my head. Lovitz.
You also downloaded the final song in the movie, which runs into the credits.
Oh yeah,
at the end of the party.
I was getting my songs. I Shazammed it last week, which I completely forgot.
That's so terrible because this suggests to me that you're spending time related to the movie outside of.
No, it was an accident. I was downloading other songs which I actually wanted to listen to, and I Shazammed it because I wanted to know its name, and I found out its name. It's by a band called REO Speedwagon. It was recorded in 1991, and the song is, ironically, I think, called "Live Every Moment." So it's encouraging you to go out there and live every moment. And the idea that this song taunts us at the end of 101 minutes of watching this fucking movie week after week, I love that.
That's a warning that the person who was in charge of the music for this film has put in. They're going, really sorry about the movie, guys. Don't fuck up again, because time is precious and life is a wonderful thing, and you need to live in some way that
life is a fleeting moment, and
you need to not see movies like this anymore.
In the blink of an eye, it's gone. We also received a suggestion and I mean, I'd love to just gauge public reaction to this. For the 25th episode of the podcast, Paul Amos, long-time listener.
Shout out to Paul. He's been a big supporter since day one.
Never-time caller. Suggested we do a public screening and record. And I would like to bring this up with you, Tim. I would be more than happy to do that.
I think we need something to look forward to, some light at the end of the tunnel.
The irony, of course, would be that it will wind up being just us in a larger, empty room with seats that we've laid out for people. But even that will at least provide an interesting wrinkle or change of pace.
Yes.
I mean, what?
Yeah, I'd be pro that.
What were you?
But 25, that's so long away. But it does need to be something kind of away in the future.
It's not that long away. It's only 22 more weeks. So what I need from you now...
It's 22 more watches.
It's like half a year. It's like just half a year away.
Just half a year.
What I need from you,
grown-ups too,
think what I'm interested in is your mental state from the outset, from my arrival at your house bright and early with half an almond croissant to share, through the movie, all the way to the end, the merciful end.
What was in that croissant?
The filling.
Yeah, like
they use some sort of almond or nut butter.
Because it was there's down the road from here at the what's it called, like the little bakery or something, the one. You got to go like down and around the corner, down Richmond Road, and they do a cabanossi sausage roll, which is off the chain. And what really makes it is the chutney. They put this, like, just not a huge amount, but a little bit of chutney in the sausage roll itself,
inside it.
And the croissant, the croissant
had the butter equivalent of that chutney.
It was like the sweet version.
Yeah, I mean,
even though chutney can be sweet.
You'd hope so. It's a big croissant they serve you, but I'm paying $5.50 for that.
Fuck,
which is a lot for a croissant.
But worth it, man.
Almond or otherwise, that's a lot for a croissant.
Thank you for giving me half of that. That was really nice of you. And
look, I thought it would be a nice little pick-me-up for both of us.
Totally.
So anyway, mental state from the arrival of myself, the receiving of the croissant, through to the credits, even now.
Yeah, okay. I had a few technical issues this morning trying to set up the microphone.
Yeah, you were stressed and frazzled when I arrived.
I was grumpy, mate. I was in a grump, a right old grump. Saw the movie, put me in a worse mood, and then got a coffee and...
But I want you, can you tell me a little bit about the journey through the movie for you today, the mental journey that Tim Batt went on during Grown Ups 2 today?
Film opens, and the first thing that I realise is I've forgotten about the moose, which is at the start. And as the film progresses, this happens to me a few times where I realise there's a couple of things that are happening. Number one is my emotional state's getting number each time. So the first time I saw it, I was like, felt really passionately about how bad the movie was. The second time, last week, we watched it, and I was set up for a fall, so it allowed me to enjoy moments within the film. This week, terrifyingly, I kind of felt nothing for most of it, but in the worst way possible. Not nothing in the sense that it was like neutral, but nothing in the sense that it's like I can't feel feelings because this film is on. So I guess there was anger at the start, a bit of grumpiness. You came, and that was nice to see your shining face here. Movie started, and then I was kind of confused that I'd forgotten the moose bit because I've seen this movie twice in as many weeks. But the moose thing makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense, guy, and it doesn't come back.
Your voice is getting louder.
Well, I've had a little bit of coffee, and I'm away from the grips of the film. It's like staring into Medusa and being turned to stone.
This is making you an angry man. I'm thinking we should probably do screenings in the evening so that it doesn't, make us weird.
No, because then I'll know that it's coming up, and I'll be dreading it for the whole day. I actually think the morning's when we need to do it.
Get it out of the way.
Exactly. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid watching this movie. And so for various points in the film, this kept happening where I was like, I forgot this bit was in it. I forgot this bit was in it because nothing links to anything else. Nothing fucking resolves.
See, this is why I wanted to know about your mental state, because it sounds to me like you're approaching sort of emotional fragility, and you're a pretty well put together guy. You got your head screwed on right. I noticed that you've rolled up the sleeves on your t-shirt so it looks like a sort of white trash singlet right now.
I'm trying to cool off. I'm so worked up. I'm trying to do anything to kind of reduce my temperature. Thanks for noticing.
Maybe next week we'll drink a chamomile tea halfway through the movie, just so that it keeps you chilled. Although I can hardly speak, I did let out one scream of frustration
at the 3/4 mark of the film. Guy just bellows, just
one big scream,
just a big scream that really reverberated all around the house.
Yeah,
because you were at your wits' end, mate. You'd had enough.
Well, I did.
My little boy was all tuckered out of the movie.
I spent quite a bit of the movie sort of turning away and prepping my body on the couch as if I was about to have a nap, and then I'd turn back because I'm not. I do think that with time it will be totally part of the movie watching experience will be us having a little nap, having a sleep,
just letting the movie kind of wash over us a bit.
Oh yeah,
I think we should.
It will be like that. It's I like to have a nap when the Test cricket's on in the background.
But we should stay awake. I think we should commit to staying awake while the movie's playing.
We'll try. All I'm saying is if you do fall asleep during one viewing, I'm totally fine with that.
That's true. I don't want to put too many I think we've got enough parameters, and that we have to kind of
just
sit
putting
through
aside the time each week is commitment enough.
Guy, tell me about your mental state. Tell me about your emotional well-being.
Well, I woke up and I told my flatmate I was going to watch Grown Ups 2 at your house, and he said, "What a shit way to start the week." And I smiled and said, "All right, cheerio." And I came here and I was sort of just indifferent, sort of like still waking up, I guess.
Sure.
Early on.
It was pretty
early. And then the movie started. And I spoke about this last week. I think it's going to be the same thing. It's like it's just something I got to get through on one day a week basis now. So I'm just looking out for check marks for those moments when I go, all right, that means this is coming. It's not that far. Like towards the end of the movie, I said, this is okay because now we've just got to go to the party, and that's only the length of one episode of something you don't like.
And your exact words were, I think you said, don't worry, there's only the amount of time of one shit TV show left.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a digestible amount of time for something that you don't like.
Such an appropriate measure.
It's like at the end of Grown Ups 2, we just watch an episode of The Big Bang Theory or something. And that's fine.
Do you have marker points within the film that you kind of go, oh god, but at least this
like the dinner party scene when it's cutting between the dinner when the family's having dinner.
Oh yeah.
So that's like for me that's the home stretch. That's the final marker.
No, but see, you think that because the movie kind of sets it up because that's the end of the day.
No, but I know that there's
so much movie left.
Yeah, there's so many wrinkles in the party scene, but it's the party scene in my brain, and don't ruin this for me because this makes it easier to get through.
Yep.
It's just one party. Just got to get through one party. Then then we've just got to get through one conversation, and then the rest of the week is my oyster, Tim.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. You're right about that. So, once you get to the dinner scene where Chris Rock crumples his plasticky cup full of Pepsi
cup.
That things are looking up.
Yeah.
There's light at the end of this tunnel.
So to respond to your question about the emotional state, I mean, largely just sort of okay. Yeah. Just sort of like, I guess it's sort of it is almost a job.
I think we've got to look after each other a little bit. I think
that's why I do things like the almond croissant.
Yeah, and there are important rituals that we need to bring into the fold here. There's a concept in mental health known as self-care, where you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Basically, you got to make sure that you're okay. You got to set yourself up with some nice rewards and stuff if you're going through a hard time, and some goals. I think you and I need to be really a big support for each other through this.
I missed a lot of that because when you said check yourself because you wreck yourself, it made me sort of think it's somewhat surprising that Ice Cube didn't crop up in this movie.
I would not have batted an eyelid if I saw him.
Absolutely not. And what I'm looking forward to is, maybe keeping an eye out for him as an extra at the party scene, some sort of periphery character that we maybe just haven't seen yet.
Yeah, they don't have any. They should have really waited for the reveal of Stone Cold Steve Austin at that point. But you see, you see him in the supermarket.
You don't see him in the supermarket. You see him at the ballet recital.
Yes, you do. That's right.
Isn't it funny though that now, after 3 weeks, after 1 week being like, there are so many cameos in it. This movie is loaded. Just suddenly,
it's because
you can fit in more cameos in there.
You literally looked at the cast list on IMDb.
There's 158 listed cast members on this movie.
That's not a film. That is a tax dodge.
There's a lot of
That's
characters.
too many.
And
they get into a great rhythm in this film of, and I think I mentioned this last week, when a scene's not working, throw more characters at it, and then cross-dissolve, fade out.
And then if it's still not working, just end it.
Walk away.
What else are you doing this week, Tim?
Hey, I don't know, man. Who knows? Probably do some stand-up comedy at some point. Oh, yeah, can we shout out some stuff?
Yeah, if anyone's still listening and they're not entirely sick of us, go for it.
Yeah, no, maybe I won't actually. Yeah, no, I'll leave it.
You'll leave it?
Yeah, I'll leave it.
Okay.
I just want to do a tease for next week's podcast though, because there's something which I want to pick up on that we haven't delved into this movie yet. I'm going to do the tease first.
No, you should do the tease at the end.
Oh, I guess. Okay.
I was just going to say. No, actually, I don't want anyone to come to any of my stuff either.
No, come on. What have you got on? Come on.
I was just going to say,
Got another episode of the TV show?
Yeah, we're not too worried about that.
Okay.
If you're in Auckland this coming Friday, the something of March, come along to Snort Comedy. It's a great time.
Oh yeah, we should. You know what? We'd date this less. Let's just talk about Snort briefly, generally, in general terms.
No, because the podcast we're running out of time.
I know, but let me say this. It's a good thing, and it's on every Friday, so you should check it out. Hopefully, it will run at least the length of however long we're doing this podcast for.
Right.
Here's the tease for next week's podcast, folks, on the worst idea of all time. There is a catchphrase in this film which they try to get off the ground so desperately. The catchphrase is, "What?" We're going to talk about that in a little more depth on next week's episode, which will be our fourth watch of Grown Ups 2, the 8-time Razzie-nominated film, which you hate as much as we do, even if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, if anyone does watch... and
don't watch the movie.
Don't watch the movie.
Do
not watch the movie. Although I'm going to say, if you do watch the movie, or if you have seen the movie, what might be fun, write a review, send it in to us on Twitter. We can discuss other people's reviews of the film.
140-character review. What are you going to fit in that?
Well,
a bloody smiley face and a thumbs down.
Send us a link. I don't know. Send it on Facebook. Send an email. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, we're around. Get in touch.
Look, guys. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you?
We're making this thing, but what are you doing?
What are you doing with your life?
You're listening to
it. Can we go now?
See you next week, guys. All the best. Take care. Lots of love. This is Tim Batt saying bye.
I'm not even saying my name.
Guy Montgomery also saying bye.
Shut up, Tim.
The worst idea of all time.
Podcast.